A report is suggesting that the Lakers are losing patience with Darvin Ham. Several key Rams contributors will miss the regular season finale, and UCLA football has a new defensive coordinator. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. So it is January 4th, 2024. It's a lovely day. Looking forward to going out and experiencing some of it. By the way, we also added a new subscriber to the Angeleno Familia again. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment, because I do try to get back with you guys. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Anthony Davis scored 29 points, but the Lakers lost to Miami 110-96. The Lakers are in a world of hurt. They are now under 500, and they have a defensive problem. Miami only played 8 players, and all of them scored in double figures. Jimmy Butler didn't even play, and yet the Lakers still couldn't figure out who to guard. This is a troubling thing that we're going to get into a little deeper in just a moment. Meanwhile, Paul George scores 33 points in the Clippers' 131-122 victory over Phoenix. Kawhi Leonard added 30 points. The Clippers are 13-2 in their last 15 games, so kudos to them. Meanwhile, Stanford 59, UCLA 53. A season low in points scored by the Bruins, and it's at Pauley Pavilion, no less. UCLA lost 6 of their last 7 games. Now, I've been reading this quote, and I'm starting to think that Mick Cronin passively aggressively called his own players stupid. Quote, "The most important thing for a teacher is for his students to have aptitude, or they can't learn. They can't apply. So your rate of progress and development is way too slow," unquote. In other words, he's pointing it at the locker room. If you really want to point it somewhere, you could kind of point it to the locker room. This is just my little opinion. But you can't have your team leader be a sophomore, particularly around a bunch of players who, frankly, weren't even born in this country. There's a massive cultural and language disconnect. This is a very inexperienced team. I don't think Mick Cronin, who I actually have a lot of respect for, is playing his cards right here. You can't expect to replace that many players from a very experienced team and just expect the ball to keep rolling. I'm assuming you got to simplify things for these guys, man. And mix in some translators while you're at it. Of course it's going to go slow. English is not all of their first language. At least one of them came from a war-torn country, for Pete's sake. Meanwhile, the Trojans improved to 7-7 overall. They defeated Cal last night 82-74, and today Detroit is playing at the Kings at 7:30, but let's get to the news. 2 scribes with The Athletic are reporting that the Lakers are losing patience with Coach Darvin Ham, citing, quote, "a deep disconnect," unquote, with the players. Now, currently, the Lakers have lost 8 of 10. They hold the 10th spot in the Western Conference, which means if the playoffs began today, the Lakers would be on the road in the play-in tournament. Yikes. When asked about the players' current vibe, Austin Reeves used a synonym for poopy or excrementy. He's saying that the team isn't executing and they're getting outworked, unquote. Now, I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure how much faith I put in this report. Remember, Darvin Ham got the team to the Western Conference Finals last year with an injured LeBron James. Darvin Ham got them to win that stupid play-in tournament thing, which frankly, in my opinion, shouldn't have even existed. But even though I do not necessarily trust the reportage of Jovan Buha of The Athletic, Sam Charania put his name to that thing too, and he's highly trustworthy. So you let me know what you think in the comments thread, whether you believe the Lakers are pulling the plug, and if they are pulling the plug, that they're pulling it too quickly. Meanwhile, please take a moment and appreciate that I spent some time yesterday cleaning up the Idiot Scribe rumor mill board for both the Dodgers and even made some room for new stupid Laker rumors as well. Just in time, too. We have added yet another name to the list of idiotic Laker trade rumors. Please welcome to the list former Celtic and Joe Theismann impersonator Gordon Hayward, who now plays for Charlotte. Should you take any of those Lakers rumors seriously? Of course not. But that's not going to stop the scribes from using bandwidth to try to get you guys all worked up into a frenzy, right? I mean, I went to journalism school too, but I didn't do it just so I could learn how to gossip. You don't need a college degree for that. Now, we talked about this yesterday, how the Rams added a quarterback to the roster and how it might lead to the benching of Matthew Stafford in favor of Carson Wentz in the regular season finale up in San Francisco. Why would you risk Stafford getting hurt in a game with very little meaning to the Rams' future? Both them and the Niners are going to the playoffs. Now, I'm not right about every prediction I make, but I sure as hell hit the bullseye on that one. Sean McVay said, yeah, they're going to start Carson Wentz. I also figured that other critical players would be on the bench, but I sure as hell didn't predict that the total would hit 7. The Rams are also resting Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Aaron Donald, Ernest Jones, Tyler Higbee, and Joe Noteboom. So, yeah. Rams are pretty much going to look like an XFL / USFL / UFL / Arena League team out there. Now, if you're wondering, by the way, the Rams are also going to be facing a shorthanded San Francisco team. They are not going to be playing Brock Purdy or Christian McCaffrey. Now, for Wentz, this is actually going to be somewhat important. He's probably looking over at Baker Mayfield getting all of this attention and love and probably a big fat contract with Tampa Bay. Remember, Mayfield rehabbed his career with the Rams. Wentz is a former number 2 overall pick in 2016. This is going to be his 4th different team, though, that he has started for in the same amount of years. 4 teams, 4 years. And honestly, one of my favorite Carson Wentz memories, I was at this Hooters in Albuquerque a couple of years ago when the Rams played in Indianapolis. Some dude actually ponied up for an authentic Colts jersey with Wentz's name on it. And I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, that jersey's not going to get worn much. I think about people like that sometimes. I really do. Big day for the UCLA defense. First, Ikeka Malo did in fact earn the defensive coordinator job after serving as the Bruins interim coordinator in the LA Bowl over Boise State. Malo is the defensive line coach last year, or was a defensive line coach last year, and UCLA's front was an absolute force. UCLA led the Pac-12 in rush defense, in sacks, and in total defense. Malo will, however, wind up being the Bruins' 4th defensive coordinator in as many years. He replaces DeAnton Lynn, who was poached by USC. Secondly, defensive lineman Collins Akempong is transferring in from Miami, and I apologize up front for obviously mispronouncing his name. He's from Ghana. He's considered a work in progress, so I don't necessarily think you pencil him in as an immediate starter, but there were people who do high school player rankings who had him in the top 100. So UCLA might have themselves a find here. Now, for the record, UCLA still has 2 openings on its coaching staff, both on the offensive side of the ball. If Malo concedes coaching the defensive line so that he can coordinate the whole thing, you now would be looking at 3 openings on the UCLA defense. The Kings have made 2 roster moves on defense yesterday, and I can't decide which one is actually the more important one. It's either the potential dawn of the Brant Clark era or the snuff film that Tobias Bjornfot's career became. I figure I would start with Clark because ever since he was drafted 8th overall back in 2022, he was considered can't miss. He might have stuck with the big club for all of last season if the Kings didn't have such profound cap problems. Hell, they still do have profound cap problems. Otherwise, he might have even made the team this year. But he was the AHL's Defenseman of the Month in December. So his time is definitely now. The Kings had to figure out how to get him back up to the big club. But Bjornfot, I mean, damn. There was a time he was considered must-have for the Kings as well. He too was a first-round pick back in 2019. He too played in the NHL as a teenager, just like Clark, and was a full-timer at age 20. He's 22 now. He was placed on waivers to make room for Clark. Anyone can claim the guy before 11 a.m. today. So if you're wondering what happened, the short answer is Bjornfot simply doesn't fit in with Coach Todd McClellan's defense. Now, if nobody claims Bjornfot, he's going to wind up getting assigned to the AHL Ontario Reign. But Bjornfot already played there for the entirety of last season. Here's a guy whose career is literally stuck in limbo. So you tell me, are you more optimistic about Clark, who is probably going to be on the third pairing, but they do see him as a future top pairing D lineman? But they were saying the same thing about Bjornfot a couple of years ago. The Chargers will battle yet another backup quarterback in the season finale when Kansas City comes to town. The Chiefs are benching Patrick Mahomes for the very same reason that the Rams are benching Matthew Stafford. All I'm going to tell you is Easton Stick might not sound like the name that you would give to a quality NFL starting quarterback. But you know what name definitely doesn't sound like a quality NFL starting quarterback? Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert, who is definitely starting for Kansas City on Sunday. So break out the air wick. There is going to be a stinker over at SoFi to end the season. Wide receiver Dorian Singer has re-entered the transfer portal, which boosts the number of USC players leaving the program via the portal to 17. Singer transferred in from Arizona with the Wildcats, who's actually a hell of a weapon. But Caleb Williams personally lobbied for Singer. He wanted a replacement for the departing Jordan Addison. Singer, pardon the pun, simply didn't catch on. Now he's on the move again. The Dodgers have traded reliever Brian Hudson to Milwaukee for left-hander Justin Chambers and either cash or another player to be named later. Hudson made his major league debut last year, pitched in 6 games, but you could name literally 4 other lefties who would be ahead of him in the bullpen next year. Caleb Ferguson, Victor Gonzalez, Ryan Yarbrough, Alex Vesia. But here's the curious thing about the trade. Chambers is a left-hander too. So I will grant you that Chambers was drafted only last year. So there is a little bit of time at least before the Dodgers have to make a decision on him. But it does seem a little odd at first blush, trading lefty for lefty, when you have a plethora of lefties in the pen. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me if you think Darvin Ham should be on a hot seat, for example. Are you okay with the Rams benching these many players going into their season finale? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos because we're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corta El Queso production. Take care.